What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Arts. Welcome to the channel again. And I've seen this question floating around the internet a lot. I've seen videos on this. I've seen, on Reddit posts, on, in the art community. And actually, years ago, I have friends who said that digital art is not real art. I've had, um, you know, teachers that were very traditional, very old school, and they absolutely refused to use something as simple as Photoshop to create art. And I want to make this video because I think there's a huge misunderstanding here, and I think there's a huge opportunity being lost because um, if you want employment, if you wanna, I guess, like a stable career, and if you wanna go in business on your own, like you need to embrace, some of the changes. Not everything, obviously, but you need to embrace some of the changes, because stubbornness really doesn't get you anywhere. So, before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell for future notifications. I make art videos. I do art tutorials. I draw anime style. I talk about the art world. I do art tutorials. And there's more to come. And I'm going to be covering topics like this related to the art community. So, um, digital art is not real art. So they say. And this is something that I would hear a lot when I went to college. And this was back in the early 2010s. People, I was using Photoshop, and this was when the Wacom tablets were like $1,000, and drawing on a digital tablet, it was, it was still gaining popularity. It was becoming popular back then, and there were traditional artists who absolutely resented those who would draw on a digital tablet or that would draw on Photoshop. And I remember I had a teacher. I took an illustration class. I had a teacher who absolutely refused to use any kind of software to create art, and he just thought, okay, well, we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way, even though I'm supposed to prepare you, for the job market. But hey, you're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. Okay, right. Thank you, boss. Thank you, teacher, for making me behind in the art world. Now, but seriously, it tends to be a lot of traditionalists that hate, the digital stuff. So, whether if you're drawing or painting on Photoshop or Clip Studio or something like that, right, or painting on your iPad, heck, even like graphic design stuff, like business cards, things of that nature. There are just these people who hate digital art when you're still doing the same thing, right? You're still creating art. You can still, the softwares still allow you to use the pencil effect, the pen effect. The rules are still there. But it's usually the real traditional people who just want to stick to oil paints and acrylics and sculpting. These are the people that just hate, that just don't like the digital stuff. And hey, we do need to keep it traditional. Why? We cannot just lose all the traditional stuff like oil paintings, acrylic paintings. I've done that. But there's a huge problem with that, and I'm going to talk about later in this video, because, like I said, if you want to get into, the job market for art, you know, you have to let go of some of the traditional stuff. Not completely, but you do have to let go of some of those things, right? So now, many people think that that digital art is not real art because it is not done on paper, right? You have Photoshop, you have Clip Studio, and they say that's not real art. It's digital. Unless you're drawing it on paper, unless you're using watercolor or acrylics, then that's not real art. Real art is done on paper. And this kind of makes me laugh because there was the same argument, right? There was the same argument with when Photoshop was around. I think it was the 80s and 90s. Photoshop came into the picture, and people were saying, okay, well, nobody's gonna want to create, nobody's gonna want to draw on paper if we're gonna be creating, graphics on the computer. And that's what they were saying back then. And now they're saying, oh, well, everybody's drawing on digital tablets, and nobody's gonna want to draw on paper. I still have a sketchbook. So I don't know what these people are talking about, right? It was the same thing with music. They said, well, you know, music is supposed to be sound waves. So when you convert it into digital and and copy it into a CD, we're losing the traditional aspect of music. And I understand why people say that, right? I get it, but it's technology creates convenience, right? It's just so convenient. It's just so much, better when it comes to mobility. And these tools are created so that we can work more efficiently, and that is exactly what digital art has done. It has helped us work more efficiently, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. Now, there's people who make this argument. They don't understand software, right? Again, going back to the whole music discussion. When music was turned digitally, right, into CDs, there were purists and traditionalists saying, okay, well, that's not, you can't do that to music, then it's not going to be real music. Well, you can still listen to it, can you? If I am still able to create a sketch by drawing on a digital tablet on the computer and still create the same anime pictures, the same, I can still draw a face, and I can still use colors, and I can still mix colors on a computer software, then by definition I am creating art. Okay? Because it's not the tools that make the artist, it is the artist that creates the art. No matter what tools you're using, whether if it's brushes. I've seen people create, art from just with their hands with like with food coloring. I've seen all kinds of weird things in the art world. So, but because this has to do with technology and people that are very traditional, they don't like to mix the two together, and they end up missing out on a lot of things, right? So people that make this argument, they don't understand software, or they don't like technology, or they're buried behind on technology, or they resent they just don't like the technology, right? And they just prefer to do things traditionally, and I get it. But software is created to make our lives simple. So whatever it took us 5 hours to do with software, we can probably do it now in like 2 hours, right? And I mean, for example, it used to be that you needed a canvas, right? You need a canvas or a sketchbook or pen and paper to work in animation, right? But the process of animation have actually been reduced somewhat because of digital art. With digital art, we save a lot of paper. So for all of you green people out there, digital art actually helps save trees. I'm just saying. So this is where software and technology comes in. We don't have to waste so much paper now with digital art. You can create the same thing on the computer again and again and again and again, create thousands of files, and you don't exactly run out of space, depending on how much gigabytes you have. But you can create so many sheets, so many frames for animation, for example, and without wasting paper. Also, you don't need to refill. You don't need to refill your acrylic paint or your oil paint or watercolors, whatever. You don't need to refill any of those things. The software has an infinite amount of colors. So now people spend more time in front of in front of the computer creating art than having to have all these things around you, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why the new generation prefers digital, because you create less of a mess. One of the things that I didn't like about traditional art was I had to have all this equipment with me, and I created such a mess, and it took up so much space. With digital art, you need a computer drawing tablet. Boom, you're done. You can just start drawing, start coloring, or 3D modeling, whatever it is that you do. It is so convenient, right? And another thing that people don't understand about this argument that digital art is not real is that digital art follows the same rules. It still follows the same rules. You're not using the same materials. You're not using papers. You're not using real-life brushes or acrylic paints or oil paints, watercolor, whatever. But you're following the same rules. Okay, forms, perspective, shapes. You still follow the same philosophy of colors. And there's so many ways of coloring now. right? So we have so many more options, and you create less of a mess in your space. So it's just so undeniably convenient that you have to use it, right? Especially now, going into the workforce, having a digital tablet allows you to work much faster, as opposed to having a whole bunch of like paints and all these things. It not only does it take up so much space, but it also consumes more time, right? And the tools do not make the artist, right? The tools don't make the artist. The artist is the one that creates the art, whether it's with brushes, digital, whatever. And just going back to what I said, the rules still apply to digital art. If you're an artist, you understand the rules, forms, shapes, shadows, lighting, in such and such. Just because you draw digitally doesn't mean that you are like somehow breaking the rules of creativity that the great artists of the past have been using. You're still using. Photoshop and Clip Studio allow you to still paint the same way as you would with watercolor, let's say watercolors and brushes or markers, whatever it is that you use. Now, digital art is just more convenient. Digital art is portable. You can take your laptop, put it in a bag, and be on the go. You can take your digital tablet, throw it in a bag with your computer, and you're on the go. It's just so much more convenient, so much more portable, as opposed to, let's say, when with traditional art, you have to carry all these things. You have to carry all these papers, the sketchbooks, the paints. It used to be so annoying when I taken art class back in college. I had to buy these canvases, and they take these canvases to school, right? I had to take it to school, and then you have to let the paint dry. Once you let the paint dry, then you can take it home, and you don't have these same problems with digital art, right? And now that people are working remotely, you can take your laptop, drawing tablet with you all over the world, so you can work remotely. You can work for Disney and live in Japan, and that's all you need. It's just so undeniably convenient. It's hard to say no to it. Digital art also offers more job opportunities, right? So for you traditional people out there, when you go to a job interview and they ask you, hey, can you do this on Photoshop? And you're like, no, I only use paper, pencil, acrylic paints, and brushes. And they're going to be like, well, to work more efficiently, we use Photoshop and Clip Studio. And then, so if you're very resistant to that, you're going to be missing out on a lot of job opportunities, right? Especially if you want to get into animation. There's no pen and paper animation anymore. We use software. The artists use software now. It's faster, more convenient. You get things done much faster. And that's just how it is. As opposed to before, it used to take years. Now, the time that it takes to create a cartoon has shrunk because of software, because of the drawing tablets, because of digital art. So if you're very resistant to that, you're going to be missing out on a lot of job opportunities, okay? I'm just saying. Also, digital art allows you to fix mistakes. It allows you to fix mistakes. I mean, think about it. Let's say, for example, you make a mistake. You make a mistake. You ink your drawing, and then you realize, oh my God, look at what just happened. I gotta go and fix his hair or her hair, or whatever. And you can't do that with ink or acrylic, right? I mean, you have to paint over the thing, but it takes so much longer. As opposed to digital art, all you have to do is hit the back button, and those mistakes can be fixed. That's all you have to do. Like with digital art, is very forgiving to mistakes. And it's actually better for practice. Digital art is better for practice. You draw something on Clip Studio or Procreate or Photoshop, you hit the back button multiple times until you get it right. There is no going back with acrylic paint. There's no going back with oil paint. There's no going back with inking. When you ink a drawing, you cannot go back and fix mistakes. That is what sucks about it, right? This is where traditional art becomes inconvenient, because now, especially if you're working for these companies, they want you to work fast, and you can't be carrying all these paints with. I keep repeating myself, but this is where like traditional art almost has no place when it comes to entertainment. Like if you want to go into game development, if you want to go into game development, if you want to go into game design, character design, concept art, then you're gonna have to pick up a drawing tablet, my friend. So digital art. So the whole argument about digital art not being real art is completely bogus. You can still apply the same things, same rules, same color theory applies. So this argument is absolutely, just irrelevant and false. Also, if you're self-employed, digital art, you can actually work quicker. Say if you have clients, if you're doing commissions like a lot of anime artists do, you can actually finish it. You can actually finish it much faster, as opposed to, let's say, if you're doing watercolors, you gotta wait for it to dry, and you gotta wait for it to dry, and it's messy. it creates a mess. It just takes longer, as opposed to digital art. When you create something on Photoshop or Clip Studio, once you're done, you just hit the save button and send the file, and that's it. You get paid for your clients. It's very efficient and just so much better. So that is pretty much it. That's pretty much it. What I have to say about digital art not being real art. There's a lot of things that I don't consider art. For example, if you go to a lot of museums in New York, the MoMA Art Museum, there's a lot of like pieces there that I don't consider art, that are just completely ridiculous, like a golden toilet or something like that, or pieces of wood put together with, I don't know, with a bicycle. I've seen some weird stuff at the MoMA Art Museum in New York and other museums, and I don't consider them art, but it is art. So again, the rules still apply to digital art. Whatever your thoughts are, comment below, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. This is Andy Arts. Thank you guys for listening this long, and I'll see you in the next video.